trigger pointing in this area here. I'm going to just give you a little demo of some trigger point needling. Hopefully you'll get a twitch or two. So story of my right leg is it gets tight every now and again, essentially, whether it's overuse from the glue or for what I do sports wise, quite possibly. I think it's set off this week because I went climbing for the first time in a while. It involves a lot of kind of pushing through your toes, balancing on your toes on little holds. So that's me. Now my symptoms are interesting. So yeah, occasionally it feels a little bit tight in here, but this isn't really what I get the symptoms. I know when it's starting to get bad because I can actually feel it in my big toe. You're thinking big toe, because in this area we've got medial gastroc. Medial gastroc can refer down the inside of the leg. It can also give you arch pain, like plantar fasciitis type pain. What else have we got in this area? We've got posterior tibialis muscle just behind it. This is another really common one that gets a nice trigger point in. This on the whole can refer pain again down, but it goes into the middle three toes, and this is actually quite a common problem that I see in clinic. People saying that they've got toe pain, normally unrelated to what I'm actually treating for, and we just knock in a little trigger point release while they're there for that condition as well. So I get a trigger point in this area. I think it's in the gastroc. Could be a little bit in tibialis posterior, to be honest. Obviously one is on top of the other, so I'm not 100% sure. Now my symptoms are, yes, I get big toe pain, and when it starts to get particularly bad at night time, I get this really uncomfortable sensation. Now it's not pain, it's almost like restless legs. Like I can feel these muscles go a little bit tight, they feel warm, they feel uncomfortable, they just feel unpleasant. They basically make me need to have to keep moving my leg to stop it from developing, and if I force it to stay still, when it's really bad, these muscles almost contract up. Not a cramp, but you can just feel these muscles contract and tighten, hold for a few seconds, and then release off. And it's unpleasant. It's not painful in any way, but it keeps me awake when it's there. Now, I know that the toe and this pain is related to the calf, because when I treat it, it releases off. Toe pain actually is more commonly referred from tibialis anterior, which could be an indirect release, because when gastroc is tight, tibialis anterior obviously gets a bit stiff as well. So obviously if you're walking, gastroc is tight. Every time you pull your foot up to try and step through, you're having to work harder in tibialis anterior to fight against this tension in your calf muscle. So the two are obviously linked. So it could be that actually the toe pain possibly is coming from tibialis posterior, anterior, but by releasing off the calf and tib post, it indirectly helps with that one. So anyway, the point of this was to release off the trigger point, and I'll give you my life story, which I have apparently done. So one of the big points in medial gastroc, and can I just say it's really hard to find trigger points on yourself, super easy to find them on other people for some reason. Spleen 8 is a point just under, so if you go from that depression underneath the tibialis, tibial bone, and then we just go from behind it down 3 sun, that's spleen 8. But it's a nice area where you're bound to find a little trigger point. Now I have got one in me. Oh yep, that's the one there. Okay, so let's give this a little needle, and let's get in a bit closer to where the camera is to see if I can get a nice twitch out of it. So needle on. And needle in. And it is super horrible needling yourself. Right, I can, oh, hey! Yep, that was a twitch. Super horrible needling yourself. Every single patient watching this is like, haha, you know what it feels like now. Right, I think that's just released because that was a nice little twitch. Now on the whole, you tend to only get twitches from active trigger points. I find, just from experience. So that was definitely doing something. Already my toe is actually feeling a bit lighter. So weird. Like I said, that is not a classic pattern for medial gastroc pain. I am either very unusual, which, yeah, I think people would agree with that statement, or there's some relationship with tib and And actually, I thought there was going to be more down there because I was feeling earlier and that was really tight. But that all now actually feels super soft. So it was all coming from that one little nasty trigger point in medial gastroc. So that's a nice release pattern for the medial gastroc area. And my life story. You're welcome.